Continuing with the audiobook, The Goodly Christian Witch, Chapter 1, From Whence the Soul Cometh, Part 2. Beginning again with Genesis chapter 4, moving on to verse 18. And to Enoch was born Irad, and Irad begot Mehujael, and Mehujael begot Methusael, and Methusael begot Lamech. 19. And Lamech took 2 wives. The name of the one was Ada, and the name of the other Zillah. 20. And Ada bore Jabal, who was the father of those who dwell in tents and are owners of cattle. 21. And his brother's name was Jubal. He was the father of all those who play the guitar and harp. 22. And Zillah also bore Tubal-Cain, a craftsman in every work of brass and iron, and the sister of Tubal-Cain was Naamah. 23. And Lamech said to his wives Ada and Zillah, Hear my voice, you wives of Lamech, hearken to my speech. For I have killed a man by wounding him, and a boy by beating him. 24. For if Cain is to be avenged 7-fold, then Lamech 70 and 7-fold. Here, it's important to compare the words of Jesus Christ to Peter in the book of St. Matthew 18:21. Then Peter came up and said to him, My Lord, if my brother is at fault with me, how many times should I forgive him? Up to 7 times? 22. Jesus said to him, I do not say to you up to 7 times, but up to 70 times 7 times. What is it that causes the Lord of the Torah to forgive over and yet over again such bloody and horrible crimes? The answer we know so well is the blood sacrifice. One may argue that Cain did not present a proper blood sacrifice, and therefore his sacrifice was not accepted by the Lord. Genesis 4:5. But with Cain and with his offering, he was not pleased. So Cain was exceedingly displeased, and his countenance was sad. 6. And the Lord said to Cain, Why are you displeased? And why is your countenance sad? 7. Behold, if you do well, shall you not be accepted? And if you do not well, sin lies at the door. You should return to your brother, and he shall be subject to you. 8. And Cain said to Abel his brother, Let us go to the plain. And it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother, and slew him. Now we have already seen the great forgiveness and even the great reward given to Cain in the mark placed on him to warn people to not kill, harm, or take vengeance upon him. We have seen that the Lord promised that everyone who killed Cain would have vengeance taken on him 7-fold. We proceed to see Cain in a new land of Nod, and with 2 wives, children, and generations leading up to Enoch. We also see that the favor shown to Cain at being protected and avenged by the Lord 7-fold is increased to 70 and 7-fold for his offspring. What did Cain do to gain favor for himself and his progeny? He made a blood offering to his own jealousy and ego in an attempt to be like God. He made a human sacrifice. He sacrificed his brother. Of course, his mother Eve did the same thing. She made a blood sacrifice with her body and blood in the reproductive process to be like God. Was wanting to be like God not the sin of Cain's parents? We move to Abraham, who was tested to make a blood sacrificial offering to God by slaying and making a burnt offering of his son Isaac. Again, human sacrifice demanded by the Lord, but at times allowed to be substituted by an animal sacrifice. Human sacrifice is not the issue. Rather, obedience to do exactly what you are told, when you are told by God, is the issue. The deeper meaning of this being that there is absolutely no difference between being completely submitted to God and being God. Jesus repeats the amazing forgiveness of and reward for sin in the following statement, Matthew 18:21-22. Then Peter came up and said to him, "My Lord, if my brother is at fault with me, how many times should I forgive him? Up to 7 times?" 22, Jesus said to him, "I do not say 7 times, but up to 70 times 7. We know well that human sacrifice through Jesus was the price demanded of Jesus by God the Father, a human blood sacrifice. We come into the world through blood and we exit the world through blood. We are cleansed by the blood of Jesus, and blood is the life of the flesh. Not only is blood demanded by God, but blood and sacrifice of beings we both love and value as innocent and perfect. The gift that is easy does not please the Creator. Only the gift that is a true and difficult sacrifice will do. Consider the sacrifice of Isaac that Abraham was asked to make, and the similar sacrifice Jesus Christ spoke of in the book of St. Mark 12:41-44. And when Jesus sat in front of the treasury, he watched how the people cast their alms into the treasury. And many rich men were casting in a great deal. 42, and there came a poor widow, and she cast in 2 coins, which are a few pennies. 43, and Jesus called his disciples and said to them, "Truly I say to you, that this poor widow has cast into the treasury more than all the men who were casting." 44, and all of them cast in of their abundance, but she of her poverty cast everything she had, even all of her possessions. Therefore, in both the example of a great man asked to give his favorite son as a sacrifice, and a widow asked to give all she has, which may lead to her own death, we see that human blood is demanded for the forgiveness of sin. We then see Jesus Christ die for the entire world, a human sacrifice of blood and water. This is why Jesus Christ is said to be the only fitting sacrifice. Both blood and water are produced from the spear of destiny as the side of Jesus is pierced to end the crucifixion before Sabbath. It was the forms of torture used on Jesus Christ and the reactions of his body to that unique torture that caused the buildup of fluid in the pericardium, or the membrane that surrounds the heart. The stabbing of the Sacred Heart of Jesus Christ with the spear of the Roman soldier caused both the 4 chambers of the heart and the pericardium to be breached. This specific torture ritual was the only device that could cause a perfect male virgin human to fulfill the laws of nature and allow the second birth of spirit. This explains why Christ has done this job for us, and we need not repeat it. It must be remembered that blood or water alone cannot and will not cause the production of the born-again experience. That which produces the blood and water must be perfect in body. The torture of the sacrifice must be perfect, and the death of the victim must be perfect. In this way, the soul is made immortal. That concludes our first chapter, From Whence the Soul Cometh, with the subchapter, The Sacrifice.